When I was a girl growing up in northern Minnesota, every night for dinner, along with the meat and potatoes, my mother served a green salad and at least one vegetable. When I grew up, she and I discussed this, and she said she didn't know exactly what we were supposed to eat, only that we needed a variety of food. In my opinion, that was and still is a common sense approach to eating well.
Where there's sunshine, oh, that's where you are. Where there's laughter, then you can't be far. Yes, you in my dreams every night. How I love.
As adults, living well is our own responsibility. Our quality of life is directly related to how well we accept that. Eat well, exercise, and get plenty of sleep. Now, where have we heard that before? As you may have guessed, nutrition is the focus of today's episode. Life is made up of choices, and your local grocery store has thousands of them. So, let's get some pointers from an expert and see what we should add to our grocery list. I'm here today with Jennifer Stimson of the Family Health Services of San Mateo County. Welcome, Jennifer.
Thank you. Glad to be here.
Oh, it's nice to have you here. We're all dying to know, what does healthy look like? Is it fat, thin, medium?
Well, it can be all of the above, because it's not necessarily if you're thin, you're healthy. You could be eating a terrible diet and be, slim, thin, look fine on the outside, but have a terrible diet. So it's more to it than just what you look like.
So I assume that you'd want sort of a glow too to your.
Well, yeah, that's nice.
Well, I think some of it shows on your complexion how healthy you are.
True.
And your eyes. And
absolutely, absolutely.
Well, what would you include in a healthy diet?
Well, really, the cornerstone for a healthy diet is your fruits and vegetables. In this country, people just generally don't get enough fruits and vegetables, so that should be the main crux of your diet. Whole grains are really important for the fiber and other nutrients they bring to the table. Lean protein sources are also important. You need a little bit of fat in your diet, especially if you get monounsaturated fat. That's the best, and that's from nuts and avocados and things like that.
Well, what do you tell somebody who doesn't like vegetables?
Well, you don't have to, fruits also contain a lot of the same or similar nutrients that vegetables have. So if you've got, a lot of children, for example, don't like vegetables. So if they make it up by eating fruits, that's fine too, because they have similar nutrient, makeups.
But then there's so many vegetables to choose from too, aren't there?
And that's so great, because if you don't like one, I have people come to tell me and come to see me and say, oh, I don't like vegetables, and you start to quiz them, and it's like, oh yeah, they do actually, there's a handful of vegetables they actually like, so.
Well, is there any food that we should exclude from our diet or try to stay away from?
Well, generally, as a dietitian, we generally tell people everything in moderation is fine. But I think some of the things that are probably the least helpful for our health are all the processed and packaged foods. They tend to be higher in saturated fat, they tend to be higher in sodium or salt, and a lot of people need to cut down on their salt. So, and they also tend to be, because they're so processed, they tend to contain refined carbohydrate sources. And that just means that a lot of fiber is taken out, a lot of the nutrients are taken out. So,
so it's like empty food.
Not the best choice.
It fills you up, but it doesn't give you what you need.
Right. Right.
Well, there's so much has been said about fat. It's like anti-fat, but we really need fat in our diet, don't we?
Absolutely. You need it for your complexion. You need it for padding. We're sitting here today. If we didn't have some, it would be kind of a rough sit. So you need it for all kinds of things. We just don't need a lot of it.
And in a lot of these fat-free foods, I noticed that they add a little sugar. So
yeah, they do tend to add more sugar just for the flavor, because fat carries flavor, so it makes things taste better. So they will add the sugar.
I heard something said about colored foods. What would you talk about that, or what would you say about that?
Well, it's a good idea by choosing a wide variety of colored food, different colors of foods, basically.
You mean like vegetables, like dark green vegetables and red
Purple
vegetables?
blue vegetables, like blueberries and so forth. phytochemicals are some of the things that make blueberries blue, for example. And those same phytochemicals or plant chemicals do have, there's been research done that shows that they may help decrease some chronic disease and so forth, so they're really quite beneficial. So it's good to choose a wide variety of, colors in your diet.
Well, I would think that just the fact that vegetables, they've got the sunlight, they've got stuff from the earth, that all of that good stuff is coming into you.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
How do you ascertain that you get kind of good foods? What would you recommend when people go shopping?
Well, it's a good idea to go to the farmers markets, and there's lots of them on the peninsula here to choose from. So that's a good place, to always visit the farmers markets. And then when you do that, you can have take part in the seasonal produce that we have, and we're so blessed here in California with such a long growing season. So you can really get a wide variety of vegetables that way. Another way to get fresh produce and local produce is community-supported agriculture. That's a trend that we're seeing more of, and that's kind of that whole local eating, sustainable eating trend that's going on right now. And there's a lot of community-supported agriculture, which is actually small farms that you can buy a share of, and then they deliver a box like either on a weekly basis or however they set it up. And you get some really interesting exposure to different vegetables that you may not pick up in the grocery store normally.
And they send to you whatever happens to be
what they're growing,
whatever they're growing
at
the moment.
So you can really try some new vegetables that maybe you've never, tried before. And if you have grandchildren or family, you can expose them to the vegetables too. Okay,
you had mentioned community-supported agriculture or farms.
Yeah.
You said that you belong to that. How do you get into that?
Well, I got into it, I think I just found out about it in the Chronicle or some newspaper, and you can find out about it on, if you have a computer, just Google it or whatever. There's tons of them in the Bay Area. We're really fortunate. And it's very, popular here. It's been going on for quite some time.
It has. Well, this is the first time I've ever heard of it.
Yeah.
So you really like that. So you get your little box of goodies?
I do, and it's really been nice for me. I really enjoy cooking, and it's been a nice experience to actually cook things in season instead of just grabbing a recipe and buying things out of season. So, and it's cheaper too when you cook in season.
Yeah, well, it's very interesting.
Yeah.
Well, now how about shopping at the grocery store? What do you recommend?
Well, for the grocery store, it's a really good idea. To limit the packaged foods as much as possible. Really read, if you're buying something in a package, read that label. That's there for us consumers to make good decisions, so you want to take advantage of that. Read the label, read the ingredients. You want to know what's in your food.
Also, well, what should we be looking for when we read the label?
Well, you want to be looking for fiber. That's something that a lot of people don't get enough of, and that's really important for good health. You want to look for the calories. How many calories is in this food? Because you don't want to be consuming excess calories if that's an issue for you. So you want to look at, does it contain any vitamins or minerals? Because our body needs that. You don't want to be choosing things that are just empty calories, that are just calories and saturated fat and don't have a whole lot of nutrients.
Well, how about in the ingredients? The ingredient that's listed first, isn't that the one that has the most?
The most of it, right.
The most of it, and then less and less and so on.
And you want to look for things, too, that have maybe not so many ingredients, because then the fewer ingredients, the closer to the natural source it is.
Well, that's a good point.
Yeah.
Very nice.
And things that you can say, too, is another good ingredients that you can actually pronounce.
What role does the federal government play in our nutrition?
Oh, it plays a huge role.
In what way?
Well, for example, are you familiar with the Farm Bill at all? A lot of people aren't familiar with the Farm Bill. This is a bill that comes out every 5 years, and it's basically a bill that originated in kind of Depression era times to help family farms stay afloat in bad years. And what's happened now, it's more of the money goes to sort of big agribusiness, and it's just become this behemoth type bill with lots of money attached to it, and it really benefits a few select crops such as corn, soybean, wheat, cotton, at the exclusion of other crops. Like, for example, something like this, chips and packaged goods and stuff, kind of junk food, is actually subsidized, uses crops that are subsidized by our taxpayer dollars through the Farm Bill. Whereas something like this orange, this is considered a specialty crop, much like, you know, all the fruits and vegetables are considered specialty crops. They don't get any federal funding through the Farm Bill. So we're essentially not supporting this, but we're supporting chips with our taxpayer dollars.
That's why our junk food is so inexpensive.
Absolutely.
And the oranges and apples are
absolutely
unaffordable in some cases.
Absolutely. And the same with fast food restaurants. That's why they can really get these foods for cheap, you know, and have dollar menus.
So
and stuff
all
like
of that is subsidized.
Yeah. It's definitely subsidized, which is not, it's kind of a mixed message, basically, because, you know, the government does tell you to eat more fruits and vegetables and things like that, but on the same token, they're not affordable for many people, and especially, you know, lately times have been tough for a lot of folks, and so it's harder and harder to get these foods, you know, these healthy foods that we should be eating.
I see. So now I'm beginning to understand why we should really watch out for some of these things.
And you can educate yourself. You know, you can look, there's a lot of information about the Farm Bill on the web. It comes up every 5 years, and I think more and more people are getting aware of it. And not only does it touch what we eat and what's available in this country, but also it touches the environment too. So there's a lot of different, depending on what your interests are.
Sure.
And it's something, you know, we start learning about it now, and, you know, because it just passed in 2007, so there's some time to learn about it and mobilize and maybe talk to your legislators and tell them how important it is to you.
Uh-huh. Well.
Yeah.
That's a lot to think about.
Right, absolutely.
What's the difference between the diet of a senior and the diet of a younger adult?
Well, that's a good question. There's a few key differences. There's some nutrients that seniors either can't absorb or need more of. B12 is one of them, that as you age, you have less stomach acid. And you need stomach acid to absorb B12. And B12 is found in animal products, so meat, dairy, eggs, and so forth. So it's not a bad idea for seniors to take a B12 supplement. Calcium is another one that seniors generally need more of. The other thing about seniors and food is that as you age, your metabolism slows down somewhat. So, you know, you need fewer calories, but then with those fewer calories, you still need the nutrients. So you really need to pick nutrient-dense foods. So less of the junk food, you know, less room for junk food and foods with no nutritive value.
But as always, if you're a very active adult, even as a senior, you need more food than you would have if you...
That's correct.
So in other words,
That's
eat
correct.
it if you need it.
Right, right. Another thing that I didn't mention before is that the need for fluids. As you grow older, the sensation of thirst decreases. So your body's not telling you you're thirsty, but you actually are. So that's something that seniors, especially older seniors, need to be particularly careful about, is getting enough fluids, enough water. Dehydration's pretty common.
I understood that if you feel thirsty, you're already dehydrated.
Correct, yeah, absolutely.
I know little tidbits like that. So what do you recommend they do? Do you consider things like coffee and tea fluids, or just water?
No, you can get water actually from even food. Fruits and vegetables contain mostly water, so you can get water from soup. So a lot of different sources. Coffee is partially a diuretic, which means it helps you lose water because of the caffeine. But it also contains water, so the net effect is probably that you're getting a little more water with coffee, even if you're drinking it. Tea is fine.
It is? Okay, how about there's like different kinds of tea? You know, the fermented black tea, the green tea, white tea. Is there anyone that you recommend?
Not over another, no,
Not
just whatever
another?
you like.
Oh.
Yeah. Drink what you like.
Okay. Do you recommend a certain amount of ounces per day, or?
Well, the general rule has always been like 8 glasses of water a day, but so that's a good benchmark.
But you can include your soup in that, or whatever, and that's adequate.
Yeah.
Okay. How about food allergies?
Food allergies seem to be more either more common or more diagnosed nowadays. We're seeing a lot of them, especially in children. The most common allergens are things like soy, dairy, cow's milk specifically, nuts, nut allergies, and those are the peanut allergies you hear about a lot of times.
Yes.
What else? Shellfish is another one. Wheat is another allergen. So they can definitely be kind of annoying if you have the allergy, because you really have to look at, and it's hard to go out to eat as well, because you know there's so many foods that are so mixed, and you really have to be on guard, especially if it's an allergy that's severe, like some of the peanut allergies.
Well, we'll get right back. I'd like to ask you a little bit more about allergies, but we'll be right back.
Where there's sunshine, oh, that's where you are. Where...
Hey, how's it going?
Sir, are you okay?
What? Oh, this? It's probably nothing. I'm sure it'll go away.
Go away? But, sir, that can't be good.
No, it's cool, really.
Do you want a napkin or something?
Everything's fine. Thanks.
You wouldn't ignore this, so why ignore the signs of a stroke? At the first warning signs, call 911 immediately, because time lost is brain lost.
I'm Smith.
And I'm Joe.
And we're conducting an experiment to see if people like trash in their homes.
Yeah?
Hello, sir. Please step back.
What you... Wait, hold on a second! Whoa! What? Who are you guys?
Aha! Judging from your reaction, it looks like you don't like trash in your home.
No, of course not, but...
Sir, this is yours. We saw you dump it out of your car on the freeway.
Oh, see, I was
Is California your home, sir?
Obviously.
And you don't like trash in your home.
No, of course
Then why would you trash California?
Don't trash California.
My grandpa said he had to do something very important. Grandma had to go out for just a little bit.
The CDC recommends that all seniors get out for their flu shots.
He'll be right back.
So be sure you protect yourself against influenza.
Nana always hurries home.
After all, it's important to a lot of people.
When Grandpa gets back, we're gonna wrestle.
Be smart, be well, get your flu shot.
Here he comes.
A public service message from the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services.
Hello? Patty, I've decided to follow your lead and file for Social Security benefits online. But Kath, aren't you back in Zanzibar? I just got on my laptop and went to socialsecurity.gov. It took less than 15 minutes. Wow, you are a miracle worker. Well, cheers, Patty. I'm off to film a baby rhino. Baby rhino?
There's sunshine, oh, that's where you are. Where there's laughter.
I'm back here with Jennifer Stimson, registered dietitian. We were just talking about food allergies. Now, you mentioned all of the different possible food allergies that most people have, or
Right,
that many
the
of
most common ones.
Yes. How can somebody tell if they have a food allergy?
Generally what happens is the allergic reaction is manifests like with hives, or maybe a rash, or red face, or something like that. And if something like that happens, you really want to talk to your doctor and see if you can get tested, have an allergy test.
So, I mean, I suppose you could cut something out of your diet for a while and see if you have an effect next time you eat it too.
Right.
So that's probably the easiest way to tell if you didn't go to the doctor.
Right. That's a good idea.
You know, we hadn't really discussed what you do as a registered dietitian.
Oh, okay. So I actually work with Aging and Adult Services here with the county, and I'm their consultant dietitian, and I work with all of the senior centers within this county, all up and down the peninsula. What I do for them is that they serve lunches, as you may be aware, at the senior centers.
Yes.
And I review the menus and make sure that they meet the nutrient requirements for federal funding. So that's one of the pieces that I do. I also go to the senior centers and make sure that they are following food safety regulations, the food's safe. So, yeah, and I really enjoy it.
So it gets you out of the office.
It definitely does.
Uses your knowledge and
right.
excellent. So you probably know our you've probably been to our local senior center in San Bruno.
Absolutely.
All
yeah,
right.
I'm
Know
very
the people
familiar
well.
with it. Yeah,
all right.
I do.
And our food's safe there.
It's very safe.
All right.
Yes.
Good to hear
and
that.
And it's delicious.
Yes, yes. I eat there often.
Good, good.
So that's
I like
very
to hear
nice.
that.
What would you suggest for people who go out to eat? You know, it's easy to stay at home and eat what you have there, you know, after shopping so well at the farmer's market. But what do you do when you go out to eat?
Well, there's a few different things that you can do. You know, if you notice at restaurants, over the years, the portions have gotten bigger and bigger and bigger. Mm-hmm. So one of the things that you can do is when you first sit down and you order, and your order comes, to maybe cut it in half and put half in a doggy bag to take home. That way, it's not right in front of you, tempting you. That's a way to cut down the calories.
So ask for the doggy bag first.
Right, exactly. Another thing is order either a double portion of vegetables or try and pick out something in the menu that has lots of vegetables, because restaurant food generally has fewer vegetables than maybe something that you would make at home. So try and get double vegetables, or order a vegetarian meal with lots of vegetables. That's another option. They also tend to have a lot of like pasta and grains, large portions of that. So try and cut down on that a little bit if possible, or see if you can order brown rice. You know, if you go to a Chinese restaurant, for example, they may have brown rice or something different to kind of get some more fiber and those whole grains in.
Well, now I'm surprised in talking to you. Normally, I kind of expected in talking to a dietitian that you'd say, okay, now here's the pyramid of food. You have to have this many of this, and this many servings of this, and this many servings of that. And you haven't done that at all today. Very interesting.
Well, I think most of us we just kind of go through our day, and we're not, you know, so prescribed in our eating. So, I mean, I think it's easier just to really, my message is always eat more of those fruits and vegetables, get as many, you know, if you don't have any underlying health issues that would preclude you from that, to get as many fruits and vegetables in as you can. I like the real basic concepts, because I think it's just easier to go through your day doing that kind of thing instead of being so prescriptive.
Yes. Well, you had just
more realistic, I think.
You just mentioned about eating out and the portions being so large. What is a portion?
Well, for fruits and vegetables, it's a half cup cooked. If it's a salad, if it's like a green leafy raw salad, a cup is a serving. A medium piece of fruit is a serving of fruit. For grains, like a half cup of pasta or a half cup of rice, which is often not what you see.
Yeah, half a cup of rice. Half a cup of rice cooked.
Correct.
Okay.
Yeah.
And a half a cup of pasta cooked.
Correct. And then for your protein foods, that always, you know, takes people aback a little bit, because it's about the size of the palm of your hand or a deck of cards. So that's about a 3 or 4 size portion of
3 or 4 ounce.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
So we're all eating way too much, because I mean a steak. Who wants a steak that's this big? We want a steak that's this big.
Right, and that's why when you go to those restaurants, it's important to try and, you know, either share your meal or cut it in half and take some home. But
even eating at home, I think that many of us serve too much.
Right. Well, we're so used to larger portions, we're kind of trained in that mindset now.
I just heard about smaller plates. Instead of these giant plates,
that's another good trick, yeah, to use a salad plate as a serving plate instead of those big plates, because you visually want to fill it up. If it's you don't want to eat from an empty plate.
Right.
It's not appealing.
Well, last question.
Okay.
What is your greatest passion about nutrition?
Well, I'm really excited about, we have talked about the community-supported agriculture, local foods, seasonal foods. I'm really passionate about that. People are starting to garden, and I think that's really exciting, and I do that at home as well. So that's really fun. Cooking is another passion. And, you know, sharing all that information with other people and like talking to you.
And have some fun with it, right?
Oh, absolutely. It should be fun. I love to eat.
You know, it should be. I mean, I think cooking is a lot.
Life's too short.
It's kind of gratifying to see your meal placed on the table and looking good and so on.
Right.
And
getting your hands in there.
Yes,
it's fun.
Right,
it's fun.
Right. Well, Jennifer, thank you so much.
Well, thank you for having me. It was nice talking to you.
I appreciate it so much. It was fun talking to you, too.
Thank you.
We'll be right back.
You promised me the world. Is this what you had in mind?
Every choice we make has a consequence. Help EarthShare and its members restore balance to the world. Visit earthshare.org and see what you can do. EarthShare, one environment, one simple way to care for it.
Filing for Social Security online is so easy, a beatnik can do it with his laptop in any malt shop.
Any questions?
No.
You know.
We're not magicians, we can't read your mind.
We need your questions, each and every kind. Will this react with my other medicine?
Hey, what are all these tests even for? Questions are the answer.
San Bruno Cable is now offering digital phone service. That's right, phone service through your cable. For one low rate, you can make calls throughout the U.S. and Canada and to key international locations, along with loads of comprehensive features like call waiting, caller ID, and voicemail for an unbeatable price. And you can even keep your old phone number. Save even more when you bundle services with TV and internet. So sign up today with San Bruno Cable, your local cable company serving the community since 1971.
Where there's sunshine, oh, that's where you are.
To summarize what Jennifer said, eat colorful foods, a rainbow if that helps you remember. And eat lots of fruits and vegetables. They're so important. And if you don't like one vegetable, try another one. There are so many to choose from. Be adventurous. Learn how to serve something new. Read labels. Consider this. Less is more. Make your meals fun as well as colorful. If you're bored with your diet, try some new recipes. Eat an occasional cookie or a piece of candy. Everything in moderation. Remember, you can also join others at the San Bruno Senior Center for lunch, Monday through Friday, for a nominal donation. Each meal is balanced and served in an active and sometimes entertaining environment. Be well, and thank you for joining us for this senior moment.